Hi everyone, welcome to the Money Date. I am Anna and it is Wednesday. I've got a bit of a different scenery today. One of the things I want to share with you is that it's time for us to talk about what to do if you got a year-end bonus or maybe first quarter bonus and how to put that to work. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, one of the wins that I have so far, I think for this hi Clichette, good to have you. So far for this week is that, so I live in this beautiful town and I'll show you a little bit around, but this is a downtown area and I've been driving, I only live like about half a mile away and I've been driving to work the whole winter, and this is kind of a little downtown area. It's very walkable, very cute, so I wanted to just do something different this morning, so I walked to the office, okay? And I was walking back home and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do the Money Date outside. So I hope you like the scenery. The sun is almost, it's actually sunset already, so, but anyway, we can still talk about money and I hope you can hear me well. Got my microphone here. So, Money Date. Why do we get here together every Wednesday? It's 6 o'clock Pacific, okay, or a little bit after 6 o'clock, because I want to have a time for myself. And so as I'm going home, I need to work on my finances for the month, because it's the beginning of the month when I sit down and look at everything, make sure the bills are paid and so forth. But that's not the idea of a Money Date. The idea of a Money Date is that we need to do this every week, and that's why we get together here on Wednesdays, okay? Yes, it's a beautiful town. You can actually see the palm tree, and I love walking. It's probably about 65 degrees right now, so a little chilly. So 3 things that we need to keep track of for ourselves every week, so that when once a month you sit down to pay all of your bills, it's not overwhelming and it's not overly, distracting and you just kind of not do it. So the first thing is where our expenses have been, right? So how much money did we spend over the last week? And I find it easily to track it on a weekly basis, because then it's just easier to capture and recognize something is off. Now, I also like to know how much money I've made over the last week, okay? And as well as how am I staying on track with my savings goals. So that's kind of what the Money Date idea is all about. And then can I communicate these things to my loved ones? Can I communicate these things to my, if you have a financial advisor, whoever it is that you're sharing your finances with, that's who needs to know what's going on, right? So those 3 things. Now, I also wanted to share an interesting topic with you guys. And so I was thinking, what would be a good discussion? We're kind of in the midst of tax season right now. And a lot of you are hopefully finishing up with your taxes. I've turned over everything to my accountant this weekend, so I feel good about that. I have like 3 or 4 money wins for the week, and I'll get to that. But I want to talk about, what do you do if you got a bonus? And I hope a lot of you do get bonuses for the hard work that you do, right? And what are some thoughts in terms of how to plan for it? Now, before we get into that, let's talk about money wins. So my number one is, of course, I'm starting to walk back to work. I don't need to drive half a mile and then park my car and pay $3 per day for parking, when I can walk and maybe stop at the beautiful coffee shops, and we got plenty of them here in this awesome Burlingame town. I live in Burlingame, California. It's right outside San Francisco, and then get a cup of coffee. So I actually really enjoyed doing that again. And so my other money win for the week is that I am an auntie again. So I have a new nephew. His name is William. So I posted a picture on my Facebook page. Check it out. He's very cute. My brother and his wife Megan, my brother Lexi and his wife Megan, make really cute kids. Hi Victoria, good to have you here. So they're in Maryland, so I'm gonna see him at the end of the month, and I cannot wait to meet my new nephew. So that's one. And then where was another one? Oh, there's another one. So as you hopping on here, I'd love for you to share it out. Please let others know that this kind of thing exists and what Money Date is about. I would appreciate that. But also drop a comment in the chat and let me know what your money wins are for the week. Money wins are just special moments, special situations for which you're grateful for. Okay, that's all there is to it. The reason I call it a money win, because one way or the other, it's going to tie in to your finances. So yes, thank you. I'm very excited to share for my new nephew. Hi, Jennifer. We just saw each other not too long ago. So, but yes, thanks so much for everybody who's hopping on. Awesome to have you here. So I'm going to get into talking about what to do with the bonus and if you got one. So one of the things that I think it's worth mentioning at the very start, and I kind of contemplated on it a little bit, is to give. So let's say you got a windfall, right? It could be a bonus that you got, or it could be maybe perhaps your business. If you're a business owner like myself, perhaps you had a wonderful year, right? And I know it's Q2 into 2018, but a lot of times it takes a while, for example, for your accountant to do your books, and maybe you had to close your taxes, and that it is all done. Now you finally have a good grip on what your bonus is per se. Or a lot of times bonuses are paid out quarterly, right? For those of you who work for companies or employers, or they paid out at the beginning of the year, the following year, right? Because businesses, just like my business, have to do proper accounting and figure out what their profit and losses are, and then distribute those bonuses. So let's say you got a chunk of money that you're trying to figure out what to do with. All right. Now, I think it's worth mentioning. Hi, Noreen. Good to have you. I think it's worth mentioning this first, is that you've got to give yourself a reward, because I don't believe in working hard and not recognizing your achievements. All right. So splurge a little bit. Okay. Whatever that means for you in terms of splurging, because we all have different ideas of what that means. Now, treat yourself, reward yourself, but be reasonable, right? Maybe perhaps, and what I'm noticing a lot with my clients, Jennifer is one of my colleagues who's a financial planner as well. Maybe perhaps you could comment, but what I'm noticing with clients is that sometimes the bonus is spent before we even receive it. So if you've planned for it, give yourself a little bit of reward and enjoy whatever it is that you want. Maybe you wanted to take a short vacation or long vacation, right? I don't really have an idea what you may want to do, but out of what you got, let's say you got some sum of money, plan on giving yourself a reward for the hard work. Okay? Now, number 2, hi Dana, good to have you here. Number 2, we need to start focusing on if we have debts. So lay out all of your debts. What kind are they? And are there ones that needs to be paid off, right? If you have enough in that bonus, can we pay those debts off? If you don't have enough, can we at least pay it down, right? So that the future payments that you're going to do, it's going to help you get there faster. Okay, so number 1, we're going to splurge. Number 2, we're going to look at the debts. So let's say you don't have any debts, that's all taken care of. Then how about thinking in terms of emergencies? Now, I don't like word emergency, so I would propose we say a curveball account. But what I mean by that is, so there's a lot of different questions I want to ask around that, but do you have a good enough emergency fund in place? All right. Do you need to replenish it, right? So the question number 1 is, do you have one? Question number 2, is it good in terms of the size? So the size should be 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. All right. So that's a wide range for a lot of you. But let's say you had an emergency fund and for some reason you had to draw from it. So can you or should you replenish it back? So almost like work it like a checklist. Say, all right, I've given myself a reward. Don't have any debts to pay. Check that box. I replenished my emergency fund. All right. So you're on track. Still have money left over, which is surprising because I think for most of us, it's not as easy, right? Or maybe perhaps all you need is to cover your living expenses. Now, if we got a short term, we got the debts, we got the emergency fund, let's think about the long term. Now, a lot of times what I want my clients to do is beef up their retirement savings, okay? Because we need to think about long term. And this is really easy to do with bonuses, right? If you have an option, then you can ask your employer, say, look, I would like to defer more of my bonus into my retirement plan. Is it a 401k? Is it a 403b? Whatever type of retirement plan you have at work, that might be an option. If you do not have a retirement plan at work and still want to defer more money and pay into into that bucket, Could it be an IRA that you put money into, right? Or a Roth IRA? You have to make sure that you qualify based on income limitations, because there are limitations in terms of how much income you can make, right? But I want you to think about long-term, all right? Long-term strategy for long-term planning, because the longer time you give yourself, the more we can grow the money. Now, some of you may argue with me that, hey, Anna, we had a bad day on the stock market today. I know that. But that's just one day. We have to get to retirement, and it may take us 20, 30, 40 years for some of us. And then after that, it has to last 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So you want to plan for the longer term, okay? Now, for those of you who have kids, could we fund a 529 plan? So is one of your goals to save for college? Now, with the new tax reform that we had, or with the tax reform that took place at the end of last year, it's all becoming effective for 2018. And one of the things that changed with 529 plan contributions, it's a college special type of account for college savings, is how and what you can use those monies for. Traditionally, it's been designated to use to pay for college-related expenses. Now, these going forward this year and going forward, we have an option to use those monies. If you make some contributions into the 529 plan, you can use those to pay for private school-related type of expenses. There's a whole list of things, but the one that's most common for families is private schools. So, do you have kids in a private school? Perhaps that will help. Now, you have to be a little bit more strategic about it, because if the state that you live in does not give a deduction, and usually a tax deduction is relating to your state taxes, then maybe it's not a good pass-through strategy. Or maybe altogether you just want to fund, make an extra contribution, right? Or you want to pre-fund your contribution for the year altogether. So kind of weigh that in. All right. The other thing that I think is prudent, just like giving yourself a reward, is to give back. So is there a cause? Is there something that you're passionate about, right? Maybe you've been wanting to make a donation, right? I know a lot of times we can donate our time, right? And that's very valuable as well. But again, I don't want you to think about donation and charitable contributions from the standpoint of the tax deductions, because that shouldn't be the primary reason why you would want to do something like that. The reason why you should do this is because you care. And so now you care, plus you have extra money. How can that work together? So I want you to think about that. So is there someone or something that you care that perhaps could benefit from your money? All right. And then the last thing, right, but not the least. So one of the things that I noticed at the end of last year, and it happens every year, it's not any different. It's not going to be any different in 2018, but holidays tend to require extra spending on all of our behalf, right? We have parties to go to, we have gifts to buy, we want to have good time. So if we look at the last quarter, right, or the quarter before that, if we look at the last quarter in each year and kind of see what our spending has been, can we give ourselves that quarterly, I call that the quarterly boost, right? And say, hey, I know I'm gonna spend more money, right? And because that's a holiday season, can I have like an extra reserve to do that, right? Because it's going to happen, and instead of you having to dip into your credit cards, perhaps, right, because you haven't planned, and most people do not plan well for the holiday spending and, gift buying, you have the extra money sitting around just because you were smart and planned out your bonus, right, or some kind of large windfall early enough. So this was one of the things that actually helped quite a bit for me, and I do have, I do allocate an extra money for the last couple of months in the year in my overall spending, because these things do come up. So, but I never thought about it. Can I do this ahead of time? Like if I had a chunk of money, can I just sit it aside, earmark it, and know that that's going to be for that? Because again, until it's only April 4th today, right? So we're going to get to the holidays pretty soon. But before that, you're thinking, oh my gosh, maybe I want to take a vacation, and there's all other things that could take place. So I hope that these were good and interesting suggestions for you. If you have other ones, let me know, and perhaps we can share it with our viewers. As you guys know, and please share it out, drop a note below here, let me know you watched, because I don't know. Once I finish the video, all of you who were watching live kind of go away, so I can't say hello, and thank you for spending your precious time with me. Also share it out, and let your friends know that there's some value here, I hope. Before I close, and I hope that you could actually hear me just well with my microphone, I'm going to share a quote with you, because I think quotes are things that inspire me. So I always look for inspirational messages, because I think that in the midst of a busy day, right, if you can look for something that kind of keeps you moving forward. So here's one that kind of relates to the goals. Use your end of year bonuses as an opportunity to make a meaningful contribution to something that you feel passionate about. And that's why I actually had one of the suggestions for you is actually think about, what are you passionate about? And if you're not passionate about anything, don't worry about it. Maybe help out your friend or help out your relative. But think about, because at the end of the day, it's not about the money we're going to make, right? It's not about this, good to have a good savings and spending plan in place, but it's about changes and impact that we're all going to make, right? So think about that. That's the whole idea, right? That's my idea with having a money date with you, is how can I make an impact on your life, maybe with just one little thing every week, so that you can go on and live the best that you can. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you next week. Maybe I'll find another cool spot for me to do this from, but for now, take care.